Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
CFOs and cybersecurity.
Oh, interesting.
So, usually we think of CFOs as, the number crunchers, the spreadsheet people.
Right.
But this article that we found is written by a CFO, and it's really interesting.
Oh,
Sort of
wow.
flips that whole idea on its head.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to kind of dig into this with you and see, what this CFO has to say.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds fascinating.
I think you'll find it pretty surprising because they're really putting cybersecurity front and center.
Wow. Okay.
It's not just an IT issue anymore.
Interesting.
It's really a core business risk.
Right. And it makes sense. I mean, when you think about it, all these data breaches you hear about in the news,
Yeah.
they have huge financial consequences.
Oh, absolutely.
Lawsuits, regulatory fines, reputational damage.
Yeah.
All that stuff falls under the CFO's purview.
Right. And this author actually put some numbers to it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They say that the average cost of a data breach just in the financial sector alone is like $5.72 million.
Whoa. That's serious money.
Yeah, that's a huge number, and that's just the average.
Right. Imagine the really big ones.
It's crazy, and it makes you realize why CFOs are now, really stepping up and taking ownership of this.
Yeah, they're the ones who have to manage the risk and protect the company's bottom line ultimately.
Yeah, and I think they're in a really unique position to do that.
In what way?
Well, they're the ones who understand the financial implications.
Right.
They can quantify that risk.
Yeah, make it real for the board
Yeah.
and the CEO.
Exactly. And this author talks about, developing a cybersecurity ROI,
Oh, that's interesting.
which I think is fascinating because it's not just about spending money on security.
Yeah,
It's about seeing it as an investment.
right. Mitigating potential losses and maybe even gaining a competitive advantage.
That's a good way to put it. So, let's dig into some of the specifics here. This CFO outlines some key responsibilities for CFOs in this new world of cybersecurity.
Okay.
Things like creating security policies,
Yeah.
implementing risk management processes,
Yeah, that makes sense.
establishing control mechanisms.
Control mechanisms.
It's a pretty comprehensive toolkit.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But to be honest, the thing that really jumped out at me was the emphasis on control mechanisms.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they specifically mention vulnerability management, which I think is
Right.
something a lot of companies really struggle with.
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Like, what does that actually mean for a CFO?
Right. It sounds pretty technical.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but the CFO doesn't have to be a tech expert. It's more about understanding the process.
Okay.
Think of it like constantly scanning your systems and your software for weaknesses,
Oh, okay.
like an ongoing security audit.
I see. So why is that so important for a CFO to grasp?
Well, because it directly impacts their budget decisions.
Oh, I see.
If you know you've got a ton of critical vulnerabilities, you can make a much stronger case for investing in patching and updates. Maybe even new security tools.
Right. So it's all about data-driven decision-making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's right in the CFO's wheelhouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not just about reacting to breaches after they happen.
No,
It's
yeah.
about being proactive, trying to prevent them.
Yeah, and that ties in perfectly with the author's next point, which is about teamwork.
Oh, yeah.
CFOs can't just do this on their own.
Right.
They got to be working with everybody.
Yeah.
The board, the CISO, legal teams, even outside security experts.
That's so true.
Yeah,
It really is a team effort.
yeah.
You can't just have one person in a silo trying to handle this.
No, it's got to be organization-wide.
It really has become a strategic function for the whole company.
And that kind of leads into one of the things that I found most interesting in the article.
Oh,
is
yeah.
this whole idea that even with the best policies, the weakest link is still us.
Oh, totally.
Humans.
You can think you can have all the fancy systems in place,
Mhm.
but if somebody clicks on a phishing email,
That's it. Game over.
yeah, it's all over.
Yeah. And the CFO actually talks about that. They
Yeah.
say that employee training and awareness programs,
Right.
those are essential.
Okay. But is it really just about, teaching people to spot phishing emails?
Well, those are getting so sophisticated these days.
I know. I've almost fallen for a few myself.
Right, exactly. So it's got to be more than that.
Okay, so what do they suggest?
So this CFO talks about cultivating a culture of security.
Okay, that sounds kind of vague.
It does, but they give some specific suggestions.
Okay.
Like, first of all, integrate security into everyday workflows.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so instead of having separate security policies,
Yeah.
you weave those principles into the processes people are already using.
Oh, okay.
And then another thing is make it relatable,
Okay.
Don't just talk about these abstract threats.
Right.
Tie it to the work your employees do every day.
Oh, I see. So make it real for them.
Exactly. And then the last thing they say is make it engaging.
Oh, okay.
Use real-world examples, case studies,
Yeah.
even humor, you know?
Oh, that's a good idea.
If you can make security fun,
Yeah.
people are going to pay more attention.
Right. They're going to remember it.
Exactly.
It's almost like you have to market security internally,
Totally.
just like you market your products to customers.
It's a great analogy.
And speaking of marketing,
Yeah.
this CFO uses a marketing concept to talk about data protection.
Oh, really?
It's called privacy as a brand asset.
Privacy is a brand asset.
Yeah.
I like that.
I never thought of it that way.
Me neither.
I always think of privacy as like, a legal thing.
Right, compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about it in the wake of GDPR and all these other regulations.
Mhm.
Consumers are way more aware of their data now.
That's true.
They're choosing companies that they trust
Yeah.
to protect their information.
It's a selling point.
It is.
So it's not just about avoiding fines. It's about attracting and keeping customers.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so privacy is a strategic imperative.
It is.
But what are some practical steps that CFOs can take to safeguard data?
Okay, well, one thing the CFO talks about is data minimization.
Data minimization.
Yeah.
What is that?
So basically it means you only collect the data that you absolutely need
Oh, okay.
for your business operations.
Oh,
Don't just hoard information just in case.
I see.
Because less data means less risk.
That's true.
And it also makes compliance with regulations a lot easier.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, less risk, simpler compliance,
Yeah.
maybe even lower storage costs.
Right.
I'm starting to see why CFOs are getting so involved in all of this.
Yeah, it all ties back to their core responsibilities.
Totally. But I think the biggest takeaway from this article
Yeah.
is that CFOs aren't just reacting to cybersecurity threats anymore.
No,
They're shaping the conversation.
they're leading the charge.
Yeah, this author even talks about CFOs needing to be cybersecurity evangelists
I love that.
within their organizations.
Yeah.
It's a real shift in mindset.
It is. And speaking of mindset, one thing I haven't quite wrapped my head around is this whole idea of aligning security investments with business goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you actually do that?
Right.
It's easy to say align with business goals,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you show that return on investment?
Especially with security.
Yeah.
Because you're often trying to prevent something bad from happening,
Right.
which is hard to measure.
Exactly.
It's not like you could just point to a spreadsheet and be like, oh, look, we saved $5 million because we bought this new security system.
Right. So how do you quantify it?
Well, this CFO has a few ideas.
Okay.
First, they say you got to frame security investments as risk mitigation strategies.
Okay.
So instead of saying this firewall is going to cost us 100 grand,
Yeah.
you say this firewall is going to reduce our risk of a data breach,
Uh-huh.
which could cost us $5 million
Right.
by 20%.
Oh, I see. So you're putting it in terms of potential losses.
Exactly.
You're speaking the language of business.
Yeah, not just tech.
Right. And then you can back that up with data.
Oh, okay.
Industry benchmarks, case studies,
Mm-hmm.
even internal incident reports.
I see.
All that can help you quantify the potential cost of security failures.
So you're building a business case,
Exactly.
just like you would for any other investment.
And the CFO can go even further
Oh.
by showing how security investments can actually drive business growth.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Yeah.
How does security become a growth driver?
Well, think about customer trust.
Okay,
In today's world, people are really concerned about data privacy.
that's true.
So if your company has a reputation for strong security,
Uh-huh.
that's a big selling point.
It's a differentiator.
Yeah,
You're saying we take your data seriously.
exactly.
So customers are more likely to choose you over somebody who might not be as secure.
Exactly. And the CFO can actually quantify that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they can track customer churn rates,
Okay.
brand sentiment, even stock performance.
Wow. So it all ties back to the bottom line.
It does.
It's not just about avoiding bad things.
No.
It's about creating positive outcomes.
Exactly.
This is fascinating.
And that's what makes this CFO's perspective so interesting.
Yeah.
They're not just looking at security as a cost center.
Uh-huh.
They're seeing it as an opportunity
Yeah.
to build trust,
Right.
enhance reputation,
Mm.
and drive business value.
You know what? I think this whole thing, this evolving role of the CFO in cybersecurity,
Yeah.
it might be one of the most underreported business trends right now.
I think you're right. It's this fascinating intersection
Yeah.
of finance and technology.
Yeah, and human behavior,
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
It's really complex.
And it's only going to get more important.
Yeah, and we've only just scratched the surface here.
We have. There's so much more to explore.
I know, but hopefully this has given our listeners a good overview
Yeah.
of why this is such a big deal.
And why CFOs are playing such a key role.
Exactly. I hope our listeners are walking away thinking, wow, I need to pay more attention to this.
Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely. So whether you're a CFO, a security professional,
Or just somebody who uses technology
we all have to do our part.
to protect our data, our systems, our digital lives.
It's not just about the tech and the policies.
Yeah, it's about people.
We have to create a culture of security
A culture of awareness.
and shared responsibility.
Yeah, that's how we stay ahead of the threats.
That's right. Well, that's it for our deep dive today.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic.
Until then, stay curious
Stay informed.
and stay secure.